Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.
Defs, DC penalty is trash idea. Hello defs, instead of banning people who DC because they have no fun in match, you could fix game breaking bugs and prevent them from DC, whilst not losing big part of your audience again. The game costs money, IT costs money, defs. So there should be no penalties for DC.
There isn't any major bugs that I've seen. Most of the D/Cs I see happening in my games are because people are salty, get downed within 1 minute and people D/C.
This game costs money, so, unlike in free games, there should be no penalties due to DC. That's exactly the thing. Instead of fixing things that lead to DC, they tell players, WHO bought the game, so they are not able to DC anymore, that they're slaves and should play how it is. Welcome to Dead by Slavery.
Just because a car costs money does not mean you should be able to drive however you want.
The DC penalty is total bullsh. The game is too unstable, wildly unbalanced, servers that are a total mess, and there are way too many other variables in play for there to be a DC penalty system this harsh. What a joke.
Translation: devs remove DC penalties so I can just leave a match when it's not going the way I want it to.
This game costs money, so me and others paid for the game. If we wish to play the game we can't because there is always some moron disconnecting for some stupid reason, ruining the game for everyone else because baby rage is fun apparently. So don't worry, we won't miss people uninstalling the game because they can't DC anymore. It's not that they gonna play the game anyways. You can always record yourself disconnecting and replaying the video repeated times so you can satisfy your DC needs.
Survivors are now coding the hooks. Lols, it didn't fix ANYTHING.
It also costs money to all the people you negatively impact by DCing. Stop being a selfish piece of.
Same logic as I paid for a game so I can use aimbot. I paid for the game, and if 2 other people decide to disconnect because they got downed after 1 minute, then I want them out. I didn't pay to play 2 versus 1 killer, neither did I pay to play 3 versus 1 killer. So why should they be allowed to do as they please if it screws the other people who also paid?
How is that the same logic? LOL, one is cheating using a third-party system and the other is leaving a match you don't want to be in. LOL. And why? Because people are going to DC no matter what, so the least that can be done is not also punish people who want to get out of a match. You are so entitled.
Truth be told, DC bans is dumb. I only DC for hatch closings. If the hatch is closed, I'm not going to stress about trying to get out, when the gates are spawned together so closely, and the killer has map advantage. I'm not going to stress it, and give the killer points when they didn't work for it. I really don't care about points in this game. I'm just like, Veiled the killer won. Just call it a day. 2. Ever notice where 90% of DCS come from? Are the first 60 seconds of the game. Rewind, pause, Killer hits a survivor the first few seconds of the match and the player DCs. Maybe they should fix killer spawning.
Banning players for disconnecting is foolish. It will only make the player base drastically smaller. Those who get banned will just uninstall the game and tell their friends what kind of a game it is, or even worse, people out there will make videos on YouTube, showing that it is everything else but recommended to buy this game. The penalty for disconnecting should be like in CSGO or League, like having a temporary suspension where E.G you're unable to click the Find a Match, Play as Killer or SWF button until the time runs out, and the more often you do it, the more of a time you're going to have to wait until you're able to play again. But banning people will lead to a loss, because I'd consider it a loss if any gamers out there who are not quitters won't buy the game just because of some trash talk from their friends, YouTube etc. I have been banned for DSing once, but the funny fact at the beginning of this game was that the devs themselves said, if you don't want to play this match, just leave. And months later they started banning players for disconnecting. This is tea. I truly hope for some other company to buy the game cause it definitely is in the wrong hands, or even if someone would steal all the files, edit them and make their own servers, I wouldn't mind about that either. The road the devs have been going so far is considered one of the most immoral game ideologies in gaming history, at least for me. I don't know what anyone else in here thinks, but I think it's worse than communism.
Banning DSers will have the community have less DSers, no.
Yeah, true. TBH, I don't want to stay in a match I'm not having fun in. If they start sending out full bans for disconnecting, and I get banned, I won't play the game anymore.
No, it would just tell players to stop being a little and play the game for once.
So what's the deal with banning people permanently for leaving games? A friend of mine got banned because he couldn't pip after the rank reset that occurred 1 month ago, obviously because he was playing solo with both boosted killers and SAF. I don't understand why banning people permanently is a thing, as being banned for 1 month has to be painful enough. Do they really need to ban permanently? I didn't ask him if he got banned before, but apparently no, and he didn't get any warnings. DC penalty. Closed dis, I arrived back, and I get this, devs, you really messed this game up. It's not fun anymore. I know people DC, but they can kill themselves on a hook, so staff, make this game how it was in 2016, no one will care, even though that won't happen, and hello everyone, I came back to this weird game.
And, today's most dumb suggestion, award goes to.
Translation: I'm banned from queuing because I disconnect in rage.
Maybe it's true, and BTW. So I think I change my mind, back to Discord, and furry animo instead, I guess, again. Why does Alt plus F4 ask me if I want to quit the game instead of just closing? I don't think those keys are getting pressed at the same time by accident.
Any attempt to exit the game without choosing any options in-game will result in that coming up.
Why not? Should the game ask, do you want a DC penalty? Please press yes to leave. Thank you.
DC penalty node, Leatherface, Spirit, Camper. Sorry if this discussion hurts you.
There is never an excuse to disconnect, even if you are being griefed.
Sure there is. Building on fire, police at the door, robbery in progress, home invasion, flood, tornado, earthquake, meteor. Realistically, the pull the plug move was more or less done by a good portion of the community because in the survivor system it punished killers for not playing the game. And devs not fixing holes in continuity of gameplay is why issues never go away. Anyone that blogs about this game or talks about it from an ethical standpoint is the fact that any game company with an increase of players that rage quit simply had done something to make the game unenjoyable for that person. Gaming is to be fun for all and nobody goes to play a PC game unless they have the intention of having some sort of interesting interaction with the virtual world. None of these problems ever came about until they started making changes to the game which were not pleasing people in any attempt to give a wide leash to censorship. And not wanting customer feedback,